Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to see another tutorial on Ansible. So if you have seen my previous videos on Ansible, we have set up Ansible on CentOS and Ubuntu machine. We have also seen some of ad hoc commands that we have used, which are mainly used for one-time activities. So we run those commands, how to install some application, copy some files, create some folders. So all those one-time activities we have seen. So what we are going to do in this video, we are going to see how we can create Ansible playbook. So we will start with the simple Ansible playbook, and then as we go on, we will create complex playbooks that can be used to run tasks repeatedly by just running this Ansible playbook. Okay. So if you are thinking what is Ansible playbook, so it's nothing but it's a set of plays or set of tasks which we write in a YAML format. So YAML means it's a yet another markup language. So we write the task which we need to run in a computer or server. So we define those in a YAML format. So what we do is when we run as a playbook, we create that as playbook, and when we run in the Ansible command, it will sequentially run those tasks which we have defined in this playbook. Okay, so that's the benefit. So we can keep using this playbook again and again. So not like an ad hoc command, like you have to write the full command again. We have this set of tasks defined in this playbook. So if you want to run this again next time, you just call this YAML file. So it will run the whole task which we define in the playbook. So before I start into how we do that, so I would request you to subscribe to my channel, like the video, share and comment. So if you have seen, I have created one Ansible machine, and we had another machine where we tried to consider as a host, right? So this is Ansible 2, and this one is the machine which I have Ansible installed. So you don't know how did I set up, please go and check my previous tutorial. Okay. So if you have seen, we have the host file which have configured in etc Ansible, right? So we have a host file. So if you read the host, you can see there is test servers. We have defined test servers as this IP address, which is this machine. Okay, so this is this machine which we have configured as test servers. Okay, and we also seen how we can configure the SSH for that Ansible should work. Okay, so before I do anything on this machine, I will go to one of a text editor in my machine. Okay, so it's easy for me to write the playbook in the text editor, and then we can copy that into the Ansible machine. Okay, so let me do one more thing. So let's recap some of our command we used in our ad hoc command. Okay, so that will also help us how we can convert those ad hoc command into a playbook. So if you remember, one of the ad hoc command we used is with module yum module, and we have install a wget http service, and we have also used some command like service module to start the service for httpd, and we also used the file module to create some folders, right? So let me use the module for yum first. So if you see this Ansible 2, I don't have wget installed now. Okay, so what we used last time is we used the module yum to install wget on the host or the Ansible 2 machine, which is mentioned in the test servers. So how do you do that is you have to run Ansible, and that's going to be test servers, right, which is we define the host, like test servers is for the Ansible 2 machine where it's a 145 IP address, right? And I have to call the module yum, and I have to pass some parameters or argument, and the argument is going to be like I want to install wget, and the state should be present, right? So if I run this, Let's wait for the result. Okay, great. So if you have seen, when we run this adhoc command to install wget, it is installed on this machine, right? So if I see wget, we can see the wget is there, and we are getting option now, which was not there before. Okay, now let's change this back, to remove the wget. So I'm going to change this to absent. Okay, so I hope you remember this command in our ad hoc tutorial. So if you have not seen those tutorial, please go back. I have linked those things also in the video description. Okay, okay, if I go back here, now wget is not there. So let's do one thing. Let's see how we can do the same thing using an Ansible playbook. Okay, so how to install a wget, or some other application. So let's start with wget, and then we can do it with some other applications. So I'm going to use text editor, which is a Sublime Text. You can use any other editor as well. Okay, so I'm going to use this one to write our YAML file. Okay, so I have named this file as install.yaml. Okay, so let's talk about something like how a playbook starts. Okay, so usually to write an Ansible playbook, you can start with 3 hyphens. So it's not mandatory that you have to use it with 3 hyphen. If you don't have this one, also still work, but it's a normal way is to do it like that. Okay, so the main thing which we need to define first before we go into the task. Okay, so the playbooks usually have a few sections. One section will be for tasks. You can have multiple tasks also in the same playbook. So before we go into the task, you need to define in which servers you want to run this playbook, right? When you run this playbook, in which servers you want to run those tasks. So first I will give a name. Okay, so probably I will name this the first section as server details. Okay, okay, then you have to type the host. So the host is the one where you have to define which servers or which client you are going to run the below task. Okay, so in our case it was the test servers, right, which we define in the host file. So it can be some other file as well, but here in the host file we have mentioned the set of servers under the section test servers. So that name I'm defining here. So when I run this Ansible playbook, it will check for these test servers, then the below task will be running on that. Okay, now when you run the playbook, you also need to define with which account you want to run, right? So one of other parameter is remote underscore user. So you need to define with which user you want to run on the remote machines. Okay, so here I'm going to use root. Okay, because I'm going to use root user to run this task on the Ansible 2 machine or the test servers. Okay, so in some cases you are using some other user account, like some user account like ABCD or something which does not have a root account or admin access. There are other parameters which you can add, like become parameters, so that you can add those into this playbook. We'll see more about in the upcoming. Okay, so that user will run as a pseudo user. Okay, so we will see that in the upcoming sections. So this is the main section where you define the test servers and the remote user. Okay, so now it comes the part where we have to define the task. So I'm going to call this task. Okay, so the section is called task, and I'm going to name the task. Okay, installing wget. Okay, so if you've seen the ad hoc command, we use the module as yum, right? So same way, what you can do is we can call the yum module here, okay, and then we can define which package you want to do it. So rather than a name what we used in the adhoc command, it's going to be package here, okay, which will be equal to wget and the state equal to present, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this content, okay, from this text editor, and I'm going to go for the Ansible machine. So I have created a folder called Ansible Playbook. So I'm going to create a file and I'm going to call it wget.yaml, okay, and I'm going to paste this content there. So you can see it's the same content what we have created there. So it's the host, remote user, the name, and the package, right? So I'm going to save this. So you can see we have a file called wget.yaml, right? So now how we run this YAML file as Ansible playbook. So if you see in adhoc, we run just Ansible and the test server and the command, right? So here it should be Ansible-playbook. So this should be the command. It's start Ansible-playbook. And if you want to specify some host specifically, you can use -in host, but we don't have to do it here because we are using the default host file to define the test servers, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call Ansible-playbook and it's going to be wget.yaml, okay? So if I run this, let's see what it happens, okay? So if you see, it's getting the details from the YAML, okay? So it's two sections are there, right? The server details and the task details. So it's trying to get that. So if you see the first section, it says okay, means the 192.160.145.145 is okay, and the second section you see the wget is changed. So what does this means? Like it has completed the installation of wget here. So you remember we have removed this, but now we can see the wget again, right? So if I go back to the YAML file, and if I change this present to absent, and let me save the file again. If I run this Ansible again, let's see what it does. If you've seen, like it has completed the task again, right? Installing wget, it's changed again. So here it's actually not installing, uninstalling, but we have given the heading as installing. That's why it's showing as installing. So if you would have changed the uninstall, it should have changed like that. So if you go back to the server, now you see there is no wget, right? Now let's go back to this page, okay? So we have installed wget. How about if you want to install an HTTPD service? So just simple, you can just change this to HTTPD. So this will install HTTPD as well. Okay, so let's change this HTTPD. You can even give the state as latest, so it can take the latest version. Okay, so if you want to do in that perspective, also you can just keep it as present. Okay, so let me copy this again, this content, and let me go back to the Ansible machine. Okay, and let me create another file called httpd.yaml, and if I'm going to copy this content here, so if you see, it's installing HTTPD. Okay, so let's run the Ansible playbook here. Okay, let's see what it does. So if you see here, we don't have the HTTPD, so it's not there yet. So okay, so we will see how the output we get. So the first task is okay because the host servers are correct. Okay, so now you see it's saying installing HTTPD, the task name which we have given. Okay, great. So you can see here as well it's changed. Okay, so let's go back to this machine. Now if you see when I run the status, it shows inactive. So what does means like the installation is completed for Apache server, but it's not active yet. So we will see more, how to add other modules as well, like service module. So you can start, which we used in the ad hoc command. Okay, let's see just for another Ansible playbook how we can create two installation in the same playbook. Okay, so first I'm going to uninstall the Apache server first. Okay, so I'm going to change the state to absent, so that in the next command, next playbook, we can install it again. Okay, so meanwhile that is running, I will go back to this our text editor. So we have seen like you have one HTTPD, and if you put one more YAM image, you can put wget, right? So rather than doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a variable here. So I'm going to call an item, okay, and this is going to be present. So what is the benefit of this variable is that you can give multiple variable name below it, so you can use multiple installation in the same task now. Okay, so let me do that, show you how to do that. So meanwhile this is completed, so if I go back to here and if I check the status, it's not available. Okay, so it's uninstall, even wget is also uninstalled. So we will see how we can install both together in this playbook. Okay, so if you remember, like in normal programming with for each loop we use something like for each, right? So similar kind we can use with underscore items. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to give the name here. So I would tell wget and httpd. Okay, so what it does is it will take these values from with items and put it into the variable item. So when you run this playbook, this should install both wget and httpd in the using the same playbook. Okay, let's go back to our Ansible machine. Let me create a new playbook file. Okay, it's called http wget. Okay, I'm going to paste this. Okay, and I'm going to call Ansible playbook pd wget. Okay, so let's run this and see what is the output we get. So we'll wait for this to be completed. Okay, yeah, don't worry about this notification or warning. Okay, so it's not a problem. We are able to still work with that command. So now if you have seen this one is okay, and this is changed, right? So wget and httpd. So let's go here. Okay, so you can see wget is there, and also system ctl status. So now you see in a single playbook we were able to install both wget and also the Apache HTTP server, right? So what we have done, the basic format of the Ansible playbook was like the first section we have to give the server details. So we are using host as our test servers. Okay, the test servers which we define in the hosts file. Okay, so if you are use some other name, you have to give that name here, and we are going to use remote user as root. Okay, so if you are using some non root user, we have to select some other variable as well, like become, so that it can run as a pseudo user. Okay, that we will see in the upcoming tutorial. So this is a starting playbook tutorial, so we are just starting some basic first. Okay, now we have defined the task. Okay, so installing httpd, okay, and also duplicate, so it should have been both and duplicate, so it's only a just name, so it doesn't matter, but this will help us to get some proper messages here. Like if you see, it says installing http, right? So we should have given both duplicate as well, so we should be able to get the clear message what it is actually doing. Okay, so it should be like this. Now we have used the variable as well, so we can use multiple application installs. So if you want something else also, you can add it here. Okay, so this tutorial I would stop it here because I just want to start with the basics, but this will be as part 1, but I will be doing part 2 3 parts, so we can have complex playbooks. Okay, so next one tutorial I'll be doing along with installation, we can also add some other tasks like starting service, or we can copy some files, or we can create some folders. So those kind of some playbooks let's create in the next tutorial. Okay, so I hope this tutorial is informative for you, so at least as starting basic playbook information. Okay, so if you like this, kindly subscribe to my channel, like the video, share and comment.